Well, welcome everyone to another RDB Reviews interview with Ryan Borquill, author of RDB Reviews. Ryan has been talking Star Wars recently, Star Wars saga in correct order. And today we're going to continue with Clone Wars. Ryan, are we talking about the Clone Wars program or the movie, first of all?
Let's do the Star Wars Clone Wars movie.
This is a feature length that kick-started the program, the TV program.
The Clone Wars,
Gotcha. This movie, does it tie in directly with the prequel movies as well?
Yeah, because it got like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin in it.
I was wondering if it would help fill in some gaps for the third movie, which you might not have seen yet. Have you seen Revenge of the Sith?
I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's because I'm growing this beard now. Itchy. Have you seen Revenge of the Sith yet, Ryan?
No, but I'm going to go over the Clone Wars series in its entirety before Revenge of the Sith.
That's great. I really like that. I like that you are watching story now, but you don't know what's happening in the final movie. That's great. I have Ryan's Clone Wars, the movie review in front of me. I would love to give a bit of detail about this before we talk about it, Ryan. This is directed by Dave Filoni. This is Star Wars, the Clone Wars movie. It's written by Henry Gilroy, Stephen Melching and Scott Murphy, and it's based on Star Wars by George Lucas. After the Republic's victory on Christophsis, Anakin and his new apprentice, Ahsoka Tano, must rescue the kidnapped son of Jabba the Hutt. Political intrigue complicates their mission. It says, I was looking forward to seeing how this would lead to the Clone Wars TV show, and the film didn't impress me. Ryan says for the pros, I like the CG animation style. Ahsoka, a new character, was a high point of the movie, and there was a lot of action. Cons, sadly, this does not feel like a separate film, more like an hour-long pilot for the new animated show.
Yep, indeed.
So it didn't stand alone. It didn't feel like a worthy film on its own.
No. Not in my opinion.
Yeah.
Good. And now that's all settled. Let's go straight into hyperspace with the television show.
Hyperdrive at the ready. So, if I just read the plot quickly, this will set us up to talk about it. While the king of the planetary system, Toydaria, and Yoda are negotiating a new treaty, Asajj Ventress and the separatist droid army attack. Ryan says, I'll be interested how the first series of Star Wars, The Clone Wars, might continue from Attack of the Clones. This first series was really good. CG animation does hold up today's standard. I found it clever. They split each member of the heroic Jedis and the clone troopers into different separate missions. This season made Jar Jar Binks add more of a character than the prequels did, and epic battle sequences. Most of the episodes were not in the right order, and the final episode of this series felt like the first episode for Series 2. So talking about those cons you just mentioned, Ryan, when you say the episodes are not in the right order, what do you mean?
I think some of those are jumble the episode together in way after, like, the decided we're going to mess around with it, just jumble the episode together. Because like a lot of the other stuff would probably like confuse me at times. Like, sorry, what planet this is in, where they are, or like where the other people they mean to do like this interesting mission.
It's a bit like you wanted to stay with this group of Jedi doing this mission, and then it moves, and it changes planet, it changes characters, and it takes you somewhere else. And you're left thinking, what's happening with them? Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Cool. I like hearing you say correct. Okay, so the jumbled nature of the episodes, again, if it's 7 series is long, they've got a big story to tell. And maybe this first series is setting up lots of potential storylines that they can explore later. You did mention that the last episode feels like the first episode of season 2. Is that such a bad thing?
No, not really. Not that much. But it does like set up a really cool villain into season 2, which eventually we'll get to it.
Okay, so in a sense, they're drip feeding you things and hoping that you'll stay loyal to the program. So it sounds like you will be.
Yes, indeed. Definitely going through the entire saga in shorter space of time.
Make sure you sleep. There is a lot of Star Wars out there to watch. One of the lovely things about Star Wars, Ryan, I just sort of thought about, is that it's universal. The movies and anything related, it's always meant to be for the whole family. kids as well as adults.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, is the Clone Wars a bit kiddie? Is it more aimed at children, do you think? Or can a grown-up enjoy it as well?
Oh, definitely ain't the children. Definitely all the flashy stuff keep going on.
Right.
Yes.
That's more aimed at kids. Obviously, they want it to be child-friendly, but hopefully still appeals to an adult audience as well, like the story and some of the characters. Because I think The Mandalorian nailed this. It's definitely kid-friendly, but it also has tension and drama and character that an adult can appreciate.
Yeah, basically for the entire Star Wars franchise, those Star Wars loyalists.
Yeah, and people will watch anything that's to do with Star Wars. As I say, the fans like to try and forgive, but also have a dig at every opportunity. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So you've watched the first season, and are you going to watch all of Clone Wars before you watch Revenge of the Sith?
Yes. It's
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite eager to talk Revenge of the Sith with you, Ryan, but I won't. I won't spoil it. I won't give any hints other than to say, because I've said it already, the fight scene that Revenge of the Sith opens with in space is directly related to the end of the movie that we just finished talking about, I think. I've not seen the series, so I don't know what else happens in between, but it looks like there's some really fun characters.
Example, you got Anakin, you got Obi-Wan, you got a closer, you got straight orange-faced lady, you got probably Darth Maul, whenever he shows up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
They got not General Ambar, General Grievous.
Yeah, I'd love if General Akbar came into it. I love him. Or Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, I always call him General Ambar.
You promoted him. That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely recommend it. And also belong to rest of the series.
It's available on Disney Plus because it's Star Wars, so anything Star Wars related will now be found there. You can probably buy or rent the DVD. You can probably stream the series and the film other places, or is it just Disney now?
I got the DVD set upstairs. To ask a question, yeah, you can also find them on DVDs and also Blu-rays as well.
Yeah, because they're quite old now. Like you say, the film is 2008. And the series is around that time as well. So I'm sure it's easily found if you want to watch Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I'd love to myself. I need to make the time.
Here's the next one. South Park Season 14.
As mentioned at the end of last week's interview, Ryan has now done a review for South Park Season 14. Ryan, would you like me to read your thoughts on this?
Oh, sure thing. Go on, be my
guest. The plot for the 14th season of South Park says, the 14th series of Trey Parker and Matt Stone's no-holds-barred cultural satire, South Park, contains a two-part episode, the program's 200th and 201st, which finds many of the celebrities who the show has mercilessly skewered returning to the title town and suing for slander. Other highlights from this run of shows include the spoof of the Tiger Woods sex scandal, titled Sexual Healing. The Catcher in the Rye inspired the tale of Scroty McBoogaballs, an episode devoted to the controversy surrounding the legalization of marijuana called Medicinal Fried Chicken, and Poor and Stupid, which finds Cartman purposefully putting himself in squalor so he can achieve his goal of becoming a professional NASCAR driver. Ryan says, I'm looking forward to this season to see what it's got in store this time. The season of South Park was very good. This season focuses on a lot of topics like sex education, Cartman's dream ambition, Facebook, superheroes, and much more. They use comic book panels to explain what's going on in the Coon and Friends 3-part episode. This season did give a few of the parents some character moments, and there was a few episodes that I found hilarious. At times this season got silly. Ryan recommends this for everyone to watch on DVD or to stream it all on Amazon Prime Video, as we've said. So silly, I suppose it is meant to be silly, but for you it just went too far.
Yeah, too far. Definitely with Cartman is trying to fulfill his life ambition of being a race car driver.
Yeah, that he has to be destitute to be a NASCAR driver. That's the Trey Parker and Matt Stone is saying, that people who do NASCAR often are living in abject poverty and don't have much education and that kind of thing, I'm guessing. The thing with South Park is it's all based on something. So there's something in the news or something that's been happening that's inspired them to make a cartoon about this and that. And American culture. So you and I might not get every reference, but hopefully it's still fun.
Yeah, so yeah, I found this just hilarious.
Good.
delves into like moments like the episode with Randy arguing about the possession of marijuana, and it's like one night just probably you've seen that episode or not.
I can't remember. Randy is my favourite character, though. I love Randy. He's wonderful.
Yeah. Just see his reaction of marijuana is like legalised in the town of South. And it goes, score!
Well, I think, Ryan, actually, I might be wrong about this, but I believe Colorado, which is where South Park is set, they have actually legalized marijuana for recreational use. There are some states that haven't, like Nevada, but a lot of states in the Midwest and the West Coast, they've now legalized marijuana. So this was made 10 years ago.
Definitely with Randy, his reaction to his balls just grown bigger. It's
probably a visual gag mixed in with some storytelling. We can't do it justice now, but if you watch South Park Season 14, you'll catch that episode. Ryan, have you come across the Disney woodland characters yet? The woodland creatures?
Not just yet, but I think it was in another special season.
They come back. There's a thing about the spirit of Christmas, but it turns out they're all evil, but they look really cute.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Like a Bambi and all these cutesy woodland characters, but they're despicable. They're terrifying. They're honestly terrifying. The way that they've done it's all very, very psychotic and satanic, yeah. But they come back in future episodes because they're so great.
Of course. To be honest, that should be the main villains, to be honest.
Yeah, if South Park needed villains, cute-looking Disney characters that do horrible, despicable things, they're the best.
Yeah, so I'll catch up with number 15 soon.
Excellent. So are you going to rewatch it in order to then write about it fresh, or are you just going to think about what you've seen?
Probably I will rewatch them again after I've done the whole collection.
A good excuse to rewatch it, yeah. I'm having to write about it, so,
Right. Now, diving straight to the film we probably talked about last week.
Okay.
And then the Justice League Dark Apokolips War.
Ryan held up the DVD for this a couple of interviews ago, and he hadn't watched it at the time, but now Ryan has posted, there we go, Dark Apokolips War, which is it number 52, Ryan, in the DC animated universe? You're mentioning 52.
Have you ever read some of the new 52 comics from DC?
You could explain it. What is the 52?
Well, it's one of the late new comic line they put together to add new sales for a new generation of readers, which is new 52 version of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, probably most of the villains, Aquaman, Green Lantern, all those ones. But they decided for this new line, let's make them a bit edgy.
Okay.
Instead of what they have been before.
We've spoken a lot about Batman. Ryan has been doing, I'll just mention now as well, Ryan's done a really wonderful celebration of Batman last year because it was the 80th anniversary of his creation by Bob Kane. And Ryan was doing a lot of content specifically aimed at Batman 80 years on. The character got a bit silly in the 1960s with the Adam West TV program. And the comics in the 70s were a bit, because you had Robin, you had lots of different Robin characters, and that always felt a bit silly. Then it got very edgy towards 70s and 80s. Robin was killed off by the Joker, and then you got The Dark Knight by Frank Miller, which kind of set off the whole
The Dark Knight Return.
Say again. Dark Knight Return.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that all those movies are very much based on the Frank Miller Batman. DC has always had the darker side than Marvel. Their characters are often psychotic lunatics who murder lots of people. So it's interesting to hear, Ryan, that it's going edgier still. I don't know what that means, but it's always been edgy and dark to a degree.
So basically, these are the new animated movies since 2013, going on since then. It's like a year later, they decided to reboot the comic book line again.
The animated films they've been making the last decade have rebooted the comic franchise as well.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And this film is like their DC version of Endgame, which is every superhero in the entire Earth come together to take down Darkseid.
And Darkseid is a DC character specifically. I just want to say it's called Apokolips War, and that's a bit confusing because Marvel has had an Apokolips War as well.
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, when I first saw Apokolips War, I thought of Apokolips, the character from X-Men. But this is not that at all, is it?
Nope, it's completely different spelling.
Yeah, it is different spelling, but if you ask me, it's a bit cheeky of DC to use the term Apokolips because it's pretty much owned by Marvel. They done Apocalypse-related stuff. And now DC, in my opinion, are kind of cashing in on these phrases. But anyway, Darkseid. Can you remind me, Ryan, Darkseid is he the character that killed Superman? Or am I thinking of...
Well, no, it's Doomsday.
Doomsday, sorry, apologies.
Yeah. And Darkseid is like big bad of the DC universe, which is like similar to Star Wars in a galaxy far, far away, but not really that far away from Earth.
Because they can always get here. They're always turning up, these intergalactic baddies. They always come to Earth for some reason.
Yeah, why?
So, Ryan, can you tell me which character in the DC universe that Darkseid relates to the most? He's not a Batman bad guy, is he?
No, but he's a Superman villain.
A Superman villain, thank you. Great, so we're kind of narrowing it down. So he's a Superman villain, but I presume more than just Superman comes to help. Is it Justice League related?
Yeah, it's definitely Justice League, yeah.
Says that on the poster. Sorry, Ryan, I'm playing catch-up.
That's okay, that's all right.
So the Justice League. The Justice League includes Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
Yeah, Aquaman.
Yeah.
Which sadly gets like decapitated by the film.
Let's hope that's not a plot spoiler, Ryan.
No. It's definitely no spoiler.
Okay, because if you're an Aquaman fan, that might be it for you. You might not want to watch if you know that happened.
But
anyway.
I was just going to say this right now. No spoilers.
Brilliant. You're always so good at that, Ryan. I'm just asking in case. But great. So Aquaman is dispatched. It sounds like it's quite serious for the goodies. Is it one story in the movie?
Similar like the MCU, where you've got model movies like building up these characters to final like grand finale of this current state of DC animated movies.
But what's the relevance of the number 52? You called it the 52 continuity. Are there 52 out there? Or is 52 a special number for some other reason?
Special number for some reason.
Okay, so 52, don't worry about what 52 means. It's just to do with DC. Yeah. And this is the penultimate. Yeah, I suppose it is called Dark Apokolips War, so it doesn't get more than that.
Yeah.
Is it any good? Sorry.
Yes, it's definitely a worthy conclusion to this continuity.
Because we haven't talked actually about this film. We've been talking a lot about DC, setting up the background, if you will. Yeah. But if I may again, because Ryan's written all of this wonderful stuff, I shall just tell you what Ryan has to say about Justice League Dark Apokolips War by DC. So it's based on all the characters by DC Comics. I assume these are voice actors that you've listed as the cast, starring Jerry O'Connell, Matt Ryan, Jason O'Mara, Taissa Farmiga, Stuart Allen, Tony Todd, Rosario Dawson, Shamir Moore, Christopher Gorham, Rebecca Romijn, and Rainn Wilson. The plot: the world's greatest superheroes square off once and for all against the despotic Darkseid. With the fate of all humanity hanging in the balance, in Justice League Dark Apokolips War, the next entry in the popular series of DC Universe movies. Produced by Warner Brothers Animation, DC and Warner Bros. Home Entertainment, Justice League Dark Apokolips War arrives later this spring and features the largest superhero cast in the history of DC Universe movies, with dozens of actors, characters spotlighted in a grand ensemble of talent, reprising their roles from this 6-year story continuum. Ryan says, I was excited how they are going to resolve this last chapter of the DC New 52 continuity. The last film has a very well done finale. The prose, Ryan says, the blood, gore and intense drama do give the film more credibility. The two DC characters who did get the most epic character conclusion were John Constantine and Raven. There's a lot of action in this film, and the film did a great balance of mixed humor and seriousness in one movie. The cons, Ryan says, it can get heartbreaking seeing what happens to a lot of the heroes, and watching the previous films before this one would help with the confusion of some of these characters. That's great, Ryan. Really useful that you tell people to watch them in order for this to be more meaningful.
Oh, yeah. Indeed.
It sounds like a great watch, but for my part, I would have to watch how many films going from 2013 to now?
Right, if you scroll down a bit, they will show you the list of films you need to watch before watching this one.
Oh, fantastic. If I may, Ryan says, before watching this film out of this current continuity, I recommend you watch Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, then Justice League War, Son of Batman, Justice League Throne of Atlantis, Batman versus Robin, Batman Bad Blood, Justice League versus Teen Titans, Justice League Dark, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract, The Death of Superman, which I was talking to you about at Level Best, The Reign of Superman, Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, Batman, Hush and Wonder, and finally, Batman, Hush and Wonder Woman Bloodlines. Just like with the Star Wars saga, Ryan's giving you the correct order for the continuity.
Yeah, and if you look at Wikipedia and you type in there, DC animated movies, and if you carefully scroll down there, you might see the timeline of those movies, like in how they go in order.
So are they referring back to themselves, Ryan? Let's say, does Justice League Throne of Atlantis, does that have anything to do with Justice League Flashpoint Paradox? Does it talk about the previous film?
They do a couple mentions from previous films, but I just save it for no spoilers ahead.
All right. Anything else might get into spoiler territory. That's fine. But as I say, Ryan's made it clear what order to watch them in. Yeah. And I presume most of them, Ryan, are viewable on DVD, or I'm sure, is there like a DC streaming service or not yet?
Yes, there is, but sadly it's only in America.
Okay, so you can't access it in the UK or outside the state.
Which is a complete bummer, really.
It's a shame because their fan base is all over the world. So
yeah,
this movie we're talking about, I keep wanting to come back to Justice League Dark Apokolips War, because that's the film we're talking about today. This is the final one.
Yes, this is the final one of the continuity before a couple months later they decided, let's reboot it again.
They keep rebooting these things. I mean, when I keep hearing reboot, I just think that's what it's for. The money people insist on a reboot, but then the creative people have to rack their brain. How do we make this interesting after 80 years? How do we keep this going?
Yeah.
Maybe, well, they could do a lot of stuff about COVID-19 now, couldn't they? You could have Batman with a respirator on.
Or, like, they can do it because they got, like, the technology. Definitely for those actors when they're staying at home. Like you said, voice modulators, computers.
I hadn't thought of that. So, in a sense, voice actors, like Mark Hamill, if he was doing more Joker, he could do that from home, couldn't he?
Yeah. Or Rosie Dawson. Or Darren Cross. Or Danny Bonaducci.
Recording, you really want the studio to do that in. Like, you know, what we're doing now is quite amateur because we're doing this at home. But, yeah, I'm sure they would wait to do any more recording until they were in the studio.
Oh, yeah, exactly. One more thing before we move on. If you look on the cover, like on the left side, those are the characters that were focused on the whole lot of the film.
Who is the guy with the coat, Ryan, that we can see with like the energy ball?
Okay, right there's Superman, Robin, Damian Wayne, Raven, and John Constantine.
All right, so is that John Constantine in the foreground?
Yes, Robin's the same magic powers as in like Doctor Strange.
He looks a bit like Doctor Strange. That's exactly where I was going with that. But it's very hard to know because DC is older than Marvel. But I always feel like DC is playing catch-up with Marvel in the 21st century. They're going, oh, they're doing that. We need to do that as well.
Of course they do.
I'm not sure if he's an older character, John Constantine, or if they've made him up recently.
Well, definitely recent character in the immediate sense. I think he had a movie with Keanu Reeves
I was going to say, Constantine, there is a movie. Constantine is an emperor from the late Roman period, and it's like the name gets chucked around. It's a very Christian-heavy name. So it's hard to know what's being referred to when you hear Constantine. Is the Keanu Reeves movie related to this character then? Is that who he is?
Well, no, but that's the first introduction to him in the main media.
So it is connected. So if you've seen
Yeah.
Constantine, the Keanu Reeves movie, then you've got an in for this character in this continuity.
And fast forward to last decade, they had like a TV series based on the character, like his own standalone series, before they started cancelling. But ever since then, I think he's pretty much everywhere. From the Legends of Tomorrow show, from the crossovers, to other anime features and video.
They use him where they can. Constantine, Superman, Wonder Woman, you mentioned another character, but if you know the Raven, if you know the characters, then you will know what you're getting into. This is for the fans, I assume, but you can come into it cold.
Yeah.
But it obviously helps if you know something about the characters already.
Yeah, if you watch all the other films in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you recommend watching them back to back, or might you get a bit of fatigue? Might you get a bit tired of seeing these characters? Like, do you think it's good to pace it, or could you watch it all in one?
I think for those who don't really care, they just think they get this one, they not really know what they've been built up from other movies to watch them. Or start from the beginning, from Flashpoint all the way to this one.
Okay, so whatever takes your fancy, but you don't need to have seen the previous films to enjoy this film. You could enjoy this film today. It would just make more sense if you had all the other films watched behind you.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
that.
cool.
Justice League is done and turn it to Netflix. The 2 seasons of Dead to Me.
I have seen quite a few episodes of this. My fiance watches Netflix and I catch it occasionally when I'm downstairs. So I am really impressed with this program, what I've seen.
Yeah, Christina Applegate. Sorry, I pronounced that name wrong.
Netflix program called Dead to Me, and Ryan has posted about season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
It's a dark comedy drama. It is quite dark. Created by Liz Feldman. The cast is Christina Applegate, Linda Cardellini, James Marsden, Max Jenkins, Sam McCarthy, and Luke Rosler. Plot: a hot-headed widow searching for the hit-and-run driver who mowed down her husband befriends an eccentric optimist who isn't quite what she seemed. Ryan says, I was interested how this show was going to do. The chemistry between Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini was so good. It is. They're a wonderful pair. They played these crazy single women very well. There was a lot of drama and emotions going on, and this show has a lot of twists and turns. It does. Cons: there was not a lot of comedy here, and Charlie was such a jerk to his mum. Yeah, a whole breakdown of who's in it, recurring characters, guest stars, and then of course Ryan recommends this on Netflix. That's where you can see it.
Yeah.
What made you choose this program to watch, Ryan?
Well, it just stuff that season 1 of this, I didn't get a chance to see it last year. I didn't have time. Now, more than ever, I thought it's a good idea to watch it other than later.
So you'd heard about it from a year ago, and you've been waiting to find the time to watch it.
Yeah.
Fortunate, Ryan, like I say, I can happen upon a program like that. It's just on in my house. But I wonder what makes people choose a certain program. So did you know what you were getting into when you started watching this? Did you know it was comedy?
No, I had no idea at all. All I know is I'm like, there's one wrong that it must few things. Not really that much of a fan. The other, I think it's famous for a lot of things, like Freaks and Geeks. Those 2 live-action Scooby-Doo movies have basically played Hawkeye's mum in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
Oh,
In this
James Morrison's in there. You know, Cyclops. And
twists and turns. Yeah, there's lots of those. The
Like-
term car crash, drama or whatever is a pun, because obviously this relates to a hit and run incident. But yeah, it just kind of goes from bad to worse.
I know, bad to worse. I didn't know what the hell what's gonna happen, but just, wow. Yeah. So yeah.
I've seen some episodes from both series, but I get the feeling that it's very easy to spoil the plot if you're not careful, because ultimately it's about they've done something wrong, they've done something illegal, and they are helping each other to try and cover it up. They're trying not to go to prison. I'm not sure if that's at all plot spoiling, but they have to avoid going to prison. They're good people. They mean well, but they did a bad thing, and they're trying to escape the law.
Yeah, like sometimes I feel like that myself at times. All the crazy stuff that comes out of my mouth.
Well, I don't think you're breaking the law with it.
No.
I won't mention what they do, but it is very dark and it is very funny. I think it's a great dark comedy. It's what dark comedy should be, because it's not gross. It's not upsetting in the sense of provoking people. It's just good drama with some very funny characters.
Now we move on to season 2.
Right. Is the second series very recent?
Yeah, very recent. Said last week.
Ken, who is Christina Applegate, and Judy, played by Linda Cardellini, and the lies that entwine them are back. Picking up in the aftermath of that bloody backyard reveal, irrepressible pair once again struggle to keep their secrets buried. This is what I was referring to. With a surprising new visitor in town and Detective Perez, played by Diana Maria Reba, hot on their heels, Jen and Judy take drastic measures to protect their loved ones and each other, no matter the cost. From Emmy award-winning creator Liz Feldman, Dead to Me returns for an addictively dark second season, where the stakes are higher, the friendship is deeper, and the traumas that bond loom larger than ever before. Ryan says, I was looking forward to see where the storyline goes from here. This season did make me a fan. Brackets, very good. I agree. Very good, Ryan. Pros, the chemistry between Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini has got better from last season. I did have a few laughs after watching this newest season of this show, and just like last season, this one has a lot of twists and turns that keeps you invested in what's going to happen to our two main characters. Cons, watching it can get difficult to keep in touch what's happening at times. He's done a wonderful series talking about the actors under what I read, where he talks about where else you might have seen Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini and so on. That's really good work, Ryan. It's really, really kind of you to put that information out there. Watching it can get difficult to keep in touch. Do you mean the story?
Well, basically just trying to keep up what's actually happening.
It revolves around these two women who become friends over the course of the first series. So it's about their problems, their life, and how they can help each other. Yeah, I mean, I've not seen it, so I can't say any more than that.
Yeah, I think it leads up with what's going to happen next, season 3. If they can, find a way to do it in the middle of this pandemic, I won't be surprised. If it's 2 seasons and they're done, then thank you for the wine.
It's possible that if everything about it is working, they can always reassemble when it's safe to do so. Yeah. We were talking in previous interviews about sometimes you just can't get all of the cast and crew back together. You know, despite everyone's best wishes, if the timing isn't correct, then things just don't happen. So that is a risk. Yeah, or they could just do it delivery with their camcorders. Maybe just film themselves. Yeah. Yeah. But I see what you mean. It's out of everyone's control, and it may or may not come back. But it deserves to come back. Some programs just finish because they're not very good. But this deserves to keep going. So I think I definitely recommend those 2 seasons. Say another quick recommendation for anyone on Netflix is catch up with the new Steve Carell space comedy. The reason I'm excited, Ryan, I was going to mention Space Force. Is this Space Force you're talking about? Yes. In this household, Ryan, you've just earned yourself a brownie point because we're big fans. John Malkovich and Steve Carell are a fantastic double act. Ryan, thank you very much for today's interview, and we look forward to talking to you again. Okay.